So good day everyone. I am Mary May Kapunan for today. We are going to discuss on inclusion program in which this is my assigned topic, and here we are going to know or talk about inclusion or inclusive education, aims and objectives of inclusive education, principles of inclusive education, needs and importance of inclusive education, scope of inclusive education, process of inclusive education, and then the role of teacher in inclusive education. So first, let us know the term inclusion. So the term inclusion captures in one word an all-embracing societal ideology regarding individuals with disabilities and special education. Inclusion secure opportunities for students with disabilities to learn alongside their non-disabled peers in general education. Inclusion is an educational approach and philosophy that provides all students with community membership and greater opportunities for academic and social achievement. So, inclusion program embraces diversity. Inclusion program is for all the students, disabled or not, they are given opportunity to be part of education. And then, this inclusion program is an educational approach in which it respects one's differences. This is open for all as this will provide greater opportunities for all the students in academic and even in social achievement. So, what is inclusive education? So, inclusive education is a new approach towards educating the children with disability and learning difficulties with the normal ones with the same roof. It is also defined as a learning environment that promotes the full personal, academic, and professional development of all learners, irrespective of race, class, color, gender, disability, sexual preference, learning styles, and language. So, inclusive education is for all. There is fairness in this program. Normal learners or disabled learners, they are all being um they are all learning in the same roof. They are learning in one environment, and then um to develop the learning of the students, um they are all given the chance to learn, regardless of one's culture, regardless of one's races, regardless of one's differences. All the students are given the chance to learn. All the learners are learning in the same roof. They are learning one environment, in one context, and then even learning different styles and languages. So, inclusive education, as defined by NCF 2005, disability is a social responsibility. As we all know, there are disabled person, and as part of this program, disability is a social responsibility. It is the responsibility to educate those disabled persons. So failure of a child is an indication of failure of school. As we all know, school is a great foundation of learnings. This has something to do, or it is a vital rule towards the learning of the learners, right? So remove social, physical, and attitudinal barriers. So there is no barriers at all. So learning together is beneficial for every child. It is right, because as we all know, it benefits the learning of the learners as they are all learning together. And then inculcate mutual respect and interdependence. So there is always respect in the context. Aims and objectives of inclusive education. Education for all is what I have always said. From the term itself, inclusive education, it is education for all. It is for everyone. So, disabled or not, they are being educated, or they are given the opportunity. So, to educate all the students at the same time, they are being protected with rights, because protection of rights protect of protecting those learners in the context, protecting all those learners, disabled or not, they are protected with the rights. So identification of skills. So I guess this is attainable because they in the process of teaching and learning, um we could be able, or they could be able, to recognize or identify the skills of the learners. So development of social consciousness, and then to prepare for new challenges, to prepare the learners for new challenges, prepare it is their aim to prepare those learners as they are um, in the process of learning. So it is expected that they could be able to encounter different challenges, and then through this program they are given the chance for a great preparation, or to prepare those um, learners. And then development of brotherhood. Of course, there is development of brotherhood because they meet a lot of people, or they meet a lot of learners in the context. And then to improve quality of education. It is the aim of this program to improve the quality of education, and through that, there is an assurance of growth and then progress of students' learning. So, inclusion core principle of K-12 promotes institutional sensitivity and responsive nature situation realities of the learners. So, it promotes institutional sensitivity. So, it is also responsive towards the realities, the existing reality in towards the existing realities of the learners. As we all know, in a classroom, in one context there is diverse learners. So inclusive education policy perspective of K to 12, so realized through learner centered and context responsive programs. So it is learner centered. As we all know, if it is learner centered, students are being focused in the context. So this program is responsive towards the learners. So, guiding principle of inclusive education, responsiveness to rights. So, it is not just only responsive towards the learning of the students, as but it is also responsive towards the rights of all those learners, disabled or not. They are they have always the rights, and then it is the guiding principle of this inclusive education that the rights is responsive. So next is sensitivity and responsiveness to context. Is what I have always said, is responsive towards the context. Inclusion recognizes and respect learners' rights to relevant and responsive to their context. So it is the guiding principle of this inclusive education, in which it recognizes the rights of this. It is responsive. It recognizes the rights of those learners, and then there is respect in the context also. And then next one, principles of inclusive education: no discrimination with students. So there is fairness. So there is no um discrimination in the context. No one is being bullied because um they are always protected with rights, and then um in the context, everyone is given the opportunity um to be with those people, and then there is always respect in the context. So, equal educational opportunity to all. Yes, it is equal because everyone is given the opportunity as part of this program. So, in education, in this program in education, there is an equal opportunity for all of those learners. School adapt to the need of students. So, As a great foundation, the school adapted all the needs of those students. And then equal educational benefits for all the students. Everyone is given the chance in education, and then as well as the benefits of all the students. If this learner is given by the school with is given an educational benefit, so as well as also the other learners. So all of them are given the an equal educational benefits. So the students' views are listened to and taken seriously. So in the context, students are being listened. So all the concerns it is taken seriously. All the views or perspectives of the students, it is being listened in the context. So individual differences between students are source of richness and diversity, not a problem. So it is not a problem at all. Instead, it is a source of richness and diversity. This program is a source of um those individual differences in the context. It is not a problem at all. Instead, it's a richness of one's of and then and diversity. So, need and importance of inclusive education to fulfill the constitutional responsibilities. So, it's part of the in the community or within a society, fulfilling the constitutional responsibilities is part of the need and importance of inclusive education. So, to enable children to stay with their families, it is happy to know that students are just staying, or those children are staying with their families. So for the development of healthy citizenship, so if there is if there is a healthy environment, I guess we could be able to develop a healthy citizenship. For achieving the universalization, there is a um um learners are being united, so we could be able to achieve that one in the context. The developing feeling of self-respect, as what I have always said, there is development of self-respect in the context because they are all equal in the in one classroom or in a learning environment, in one learning environment. So there is a development of self-respect. For social equality, so it points out to one's differences regardless of one's culture. Everyone has an equal opportunity. And then self-reliance. So the next one, um who are those students belong in this inclusive education, or most or the common students, um common or most learners belong in this inclusive education. So children in remote tribal areas, and all other children, street children, children of migrant laborers, children with HIV or AIDS and other chronic illness, girls living in difficult circumstances, children with disabilities, working children. They are all the um, children belong to this inclusive education. So scope of, or I get, or in other terms, scope of inclusive education. So a well thought out inclusive education program has the potential to meet the diverse educational needs of all children. So inclusive education has the potential to meet all the diverse educational needs of all children through this um, program, the inclusive education. Process of inclusive education. First, awareness raising on the right to education for all children at local, regional, and national levels. So there is an awareness of raising in terms of the rights of education of all those learners in the context, of all those students in the context. So um, um, in local, in regional, or in national levels, they have always this awareness raising. So parent support to understand their children educational, social, and sometimes medical needs. As we all know, um, parents are the first supporters of their children, right? And then in the educational context or in different aspect of the needs of the children, parents support um, is always there, right? So the third one is policies, developing inclusive education policies, revising existing policies. So there is policies in the context, there is policies in the process of um, there is policies to be developed or to be followed in the context. Teacher training programs to promote inclusive practices. As we all know, teacher has the great has the vital role in the process. So, in order to have this effective teaching, it is always important to have this teachers training in order for them to practice some teaching strategies or some um, initiatives in order to um, be prepared in um, the process of teaching. So, specialized techniques for teaching children with a range of learning and communication styles and needs. As we all know, in a classroom, in one context, there is diverse of students. So, it is very important to have these specialized techniques in order to meet the needs and also the in order to meet the needs and interest of those learners in communication styles and also their needs in the process of teaching and learning. So the next one or the last one, rule of teacher. So the rule of teacher in inclusive education. So interaction with family. So there is always interaction with family to communicate with the parents and then to I guess to report some performance of the students um in the class. So to be able to solve their problems. So there's a rule of the teacher to understand or to listen the concern or problems of the students in order to easily solve the problem and then to develop new learning strategies. As we all know, it is the role of the teacher that um, to have some learning strategies or some learning styles or I mean some learning um, some teaching strategies in the context in order to develop a new learning strategies towards the learners to be able to develop self-confidence, not just only for themselves as a teacher, but towards the students to develop the self-confidence of the students, to be able to provide special facilities. And then it is also the role of the teacher to provide special facilities for all the learners to meet the needs and interests of the learners in the context, to be able to look after their personal needs. As we all know, students have different needs in the process of learning. So it is the role of the teacher to look for that. So the next one, to be able to recognize their hidden talents. It is very it is all as we all know, students have different talents. They are gifted, they are blessed with many talents, and then in order it is the role of the teacher to recognize all of those, to recognize those hidden talents of that students, especially if that students are not active in the class. So it is the role of the teacher to recognize the hidden talent of that student, and then to inculcate positive attitude in the able-bodied children. So inculcating some positive attitude towards the students, not to have this to recognize those positive attitude of the students, or I mean inculcating something which is positive towards the learners. So I guess that would be all. And here are my references of this topic. So thank you so much for listening, and God bless everyone.